every mayor of a German city or of maybe international cities has definitely one very important topic on their priority list on the agenda, on a very top one ranking. And that's for every mayor, they need to make downtown great again. They need to kind of re-increase the attractiveness of the inner city. They need to bring life back, they need to bring people back, and they need to bring revenue back to pedestrian zones and all other areas where you can shop physically. So we're more or less, you could say we're talking about the future of new cities, but this won't happen without the future of new stores or the thought of understanding and really embracing the digital future itself. So we're here to help. Omnichannel is there to help. Omnichannel is there to increase the shopping experience, as you have learned from speakers before. But it's really also about not discussing the metaverse right now, which is nice and fine and you should maybe get your head around, but make sure you understand the first principles of Omnichannel. Make sure you understand the combination between offline and online, between physical retail from a pure brick and mortar store up into a real digital experience itself. So what we have seen is of course, very accelerated digitalization. So we have seen that at least online retailing in Germany has been kind of booming and has been skyrocketing, and there's a real hockey stick experience here, especially in the year 2020, 21. But also what we have seen is that, at least in Germany, the average net household income is saved by 10 to 11% per year. So a full family saves around 11% of their full household net income and put it aside and save it in general. What we have been experiencing is during the pandemic that this number, this 11%, has been increased to 18, 21, up to 24% of household net income has been saved. So it not just went into the only available option, the only available channel, which was e-commerce, but it really was taken back, it was saved to make sure that there can be another physical experience of shopping as well. And what we have been observing is that the things that customers want are not always the things that retailers or the retail industry is offering. So customers, they want to make sure that they can shop online, they can have different channels they use, they want to shop mobile, they want to have all the freedom in the world, especially Generation Y, Generation Z and Alpha upcoming, the ones that have the household net income in the soon future. We also saw that they want to make sure that they can really understand the store inventory. They want to make sure before I go to the store, before I take the effort of reaching the store, I want to make sure I understand if that's really the product lineup, the product category, or maybe even the size and the color of which I'm intending to buy. And also on the other side, they want to make sure they use click and collect and other options as well. So they want to use different channels, and there are studies out there that say that the brand quality or the brand perception as well as finance gets less important than the use of different channels. So it will be more attracted and more perceived from the shopping audience to have different channels than just going by a special brand. Of course, if you're a very loyal shopper to a very certain brand, you might not agree with this. But in general, if you buy a white shirt in size M, you might not care about who's more or less the producer of the shirt, but you definitely want to make sure you understand how to get it fast, how to get it in the right quality and in the right channel at your convenient time as well. So on the other side, what retailers offer is a bit of a scary comparison to that one. So only 22% they really offer an omni-channel experience, and only 12% understand how to integrate those channels with each other. Of course, there are different channels that they are somehow using or that they are serving to their end shoppers, but really integrating this, and then first of all also understanding the customer needs and understanding they can analyze customer data in between, that's something which is only very poorly done by retailers. Because in the end, a retail store was not invented to become a digital champion. It was invented to offer a certain brand or a certain shopping experience or a certain product lineup. So these worlds still need to come together in Germany and in other parts of the world as well. What the pure beauty of the omnichannel power is that you can start directly with showing to your shoppers that things are available in your shopping basket or more or less in your online shop or maybe even in your own brick and mortar store. So make sure that local search by Google is able to find your products is able to find your whole product offering, so you can make sure that they drop by, they shop around the corner, and they make sure that they also grab your offerings as well. But on top of that, of course, other parts within the omnichannel world are important as well. These are just 2, 3, 4 features that are addressed here, because in the end it's about the whole omnichannel experience. But of course you need to make sure that there's the basics like click and reserve should be optional, should be available on your website as well. And then in the end, what we call clienteling is also extremely important, because you want to make sure that the companies within those brick and mortar stores understand the customers coming in your store. They want to make sure they understand the customer needs. They want to make sure they understand the customer behavior, and also, of course, cross functionalities and cross demands of all this business. So every store manager, every personnel in the store should be able not only to consult on their own personal behavior or on their own personal competence on fashion, for example, but also understand why is this person now coming to the store, and maybe with upfront data already understand it's a certain size, it's a certain brand loyalty, etc., given. And all these benefits, more or less, really combining on and offline, creates more visitors, it creates more revenue, and it also creates more stickiness to the brand or to the shop itself, because still the old claim of the competition is only one click away never has been more up to date than it now is the case. I don't need to explain you the difference between e-commerce, click and reserve, and click and collect. Of course, you all know that. You all know where the money leaves from A to B. You all know where the product leaves from A to B. So, of course, there's a huge benefit in doing e-commerce, and that's, of course, being very convenient. You get the products delivered to your home. No surprise in there. And that's a very important argument, of course, for the audience to have that delivered. But on the other side, all the benefits of click and reserve and click and collect, they really outweigh the benefits of e-commerce. So no shopping costs, more traffic in store from a consumer perspective, no expensive warehouse, or at least reduction of warehouse cost is a very important thing. And also sustainable acting. We will get to that later as well, but sustainability is not only a trend word, not only a buzzword. We really see that future consumers and existing consumers are taking that more and more into account, and you need to be acting on those capabilities as well. And of course, then there's upselling potential. So as soon as someone, by click and reserve or click and collect, comes to your store, so uses an additional channel which generates additional revenue, they are then in store, and then they're happy to, if you have a competent store manager and they know this announced purchase is coming to your store, to offer kind of an upselling and cross-selling opportunity with different products that they put aside. If you are looking for black shoes, how stupid would you be not to offer a black belt or a certain shoe care set, etc., when you know at 12 o'clock tomorrow there's a customer coming for those black shoes. So make sure you enlarge and enrich your offering as well. I promised to give you a success story of Shoepassion, that's why you're here, but I kind of integrated some bonus material, because there's just another new customer we've been able to win in the last weeks, and they just got started, they just went live a couple of weeks ago, but they already saw the very nice and important uplift, or let's say benefit, in the omnichannel discussion, and that's the shop, or the shop system called Sir. Sir is part of Van Laak, the fashion brand that might be more known to you as well. And Selina, the e-commerce consultant, really now is happy because we are able, together with Sir, to generate additional sales with the whole omnichannel approach. And what their main intention was, from those 23 stores that they're having, is that they really want to make sure they use all these store and stock listings more effectively and save warehouse needs. Of course, they do have a centralized warehouse, and of course, in the end, they want to make sure they save costs in there. So with the logic of ship from store, they increased the decentralized logic of those commerce functionalities. And those 23 stores are now functioning as small decentralized warehouse hubs, where you can easily decrease the size of the centralized warehouse, and you can easily decrease a 6-digit number per year in terms of warehouse costs of this centralized warehouse approach. And what they've been doing, what they've been achieving, is that already in the first weeks, they had almost 40%, 35% of those shopping orders, of those store orders, they really were done by those ship-from-store logic. So not the centralized warehouse approach, but all the decentralized 23 warehouse hubs, stores, kind of functioned as a warehouse logic. So this logic of out of stock or please come back later, currently not available, will never happen again to SIR. And it will also be increasing the options to sell your things, sell your goods, sell your products that are on stock on those different individual stores. So that you also, on top of that, have the option never to put those things into sale, because sale means a reduced price, means a loss in margin. So you ideally are able to sell those goods before they get into a discounted pricing due to a certain fashion or due to a certain life cycle of your collection. So they really did a very detailed pitch and a very detailed kind of market screening, and we're happy that we won those cases, because from their perspective we were, in terms of price performance, in terms of speediness of implementation, and also in terms of implementation details like technology, onboarding, technical scoping, we were the ones to pick for them, and they're more than happy to continue the journey with us and use click and reserve, click and collect, ship from store in other options as well. But as I said, we're here to discuss the Shoepassion case as well. Shoepassion is a company that was started a couple of years ago as a pure online player. They only did an e-commerce logic, an e-commerce channel to sell their products. And they really have been in long touch with us, because we also have been building their mobile shopping app, which is also one of our expertises in there. And they really also admire the fast communication that we're having. For those ones who don't know Shoepassion, it's a company that has a bit more than 10 stores. It's, as I said, founded years ago as a pure online player. And what they offer is really kind of a niche product. It's premium male leather shoes, mainly for business. They enriched it with sneakers. They also bought or acquired other fashion brands and shoe brands, like, for example, Heinrich von Dinkelacker, which is a lesser known but 800 euro per pair of shoes price shoe company. And on average, a shoe or a pair of shoes at Shoepassion starts with 199 euro. So if you compare that to the normal average German male shoe shopper, which is willing to invest 75 to 80 euro per pair of shoes, then that of course directly gives you the introduction of there has been some restrictions in ordering those things online, so they understood quite easily that they need to open stores, they need to build trust, they need to make sure there is a shopping experience, they need to make sure that the color, the size, the fabrics, the leather quality is as good as shown and described on the website. So they were willing to open stores, and now all over Germany and also in Austria, to make sure they have kind of showroom stores for that as well. They're using, as I said, the app and click and reserve and click and collect to make sure that people come into the store, because they're now opening new channels to convince them to buy, to shop a shoe for more than 200 euro, up to 800 euro per pair, as I said. And there were typical, we call it micro moments in the typical shopping experience of a male German shopper when looking for a business shoe. And that's, for example, I'm not sure if the shoe fits in my size. So normally via e-commerce, you would order at least 2 pair of shoes, maybe 42 and 42 and a half. And you can be 100% sure that you have a 50% retour of the packaged orders. So of course, it's a pre-programmed return, and with the cost saving option of click and reserve and click and collect, they're now able to reduce this cost, because they get people into the store, they get people convinced that there's only one size that fits for them, and there's no need to ship 2 pair of shoes to their home. Another micro moment is that they right now need a shoe for this certain outfit. There might be some special event tomorrow, there might be something they've forgotten to order things, maybe not a marriage, that's kind of a pre-organized event, but something that happens more spontaneously, and they would need something right now in the next days to come. And then maybe e-commerce is not their way to go, because they have delivery cycles of maybe a couple of days, maybe a week. So they're searching for nearby vendors, they're using the local search, and then in the end, it's of course for them also very important to be visible online, to make sure that a certain pair of shoes, the whole product lineup of shoes, is being able to be found around the corner in those showroom stores that they're having, so people are able to come to the store and they see directly which pair of shoes is available and also which size, of course, and which opening hours and all that stuff. Another micro moment, of course, do I look good at all? So am I convinced, do I have enough self-esteem to understand that's my fashion outfit? I'm happy to go for this one. So they're seeking advice, and then of course it's very interesting for them to get a consulting part in the fashion industry and making sure that they get into the store, that there is a certain expert in terms of fashion, in terms of shoes, in terms of outfit constellation, to make sure that this can be done as well. So do I have the right size? Do I have the right moment? And do I have the right partner to consult me in shopping shoes which are higher priced than the average? That's very important for them. And that's all what they achieved with opening stores and also with using or offering different channels for them as well. And of course, they have been generating more happy customers. And to give you some insights, 61% of those reservations that have been done via Click and Reserve have really generated an in-store visit. Of course, not 100% availability, but more than half of those reservations really led to a visit of a certain store. And out of this visit, 69% bought the original, initial planned pair of shoes. What is not listed in here is that if you have ordered 42 by Click and Reserve and you found out 43 is your better size, then they have bought that pair of shoes as well, but it's not here in that statistics. And also not the upselling logic, which we're now looking at. So 34% of those reservations that generated an in-store upsell, and on average, roughly 31% of the original shopping basket volume of the pure euro price has been increased to that order as well. So not only is Click and Reserve getting another channel, an additional channel in terms of your additional revenue, but it's also then within the store, the smart logic and the charm of buying via those channels that you can even increase while they are in your store, while you have them at hand physically and make sure they can really be attracted with your whole offering. So what Simon, the CMO of Shoepassion, was really powerful and loved about is that we reduced the complexity, and right away they were able to start. They had their first Click and Reserve orders after go live in week 1 already. It's now included and implemented in the whole system, and they have more than a, let's say they have a very relevant 3-digit number of orders per month, which is an additional channel and additional revenue stream. And we're talking lots of money, thousands of euro additional revenue via Click and Reserve for this kind of small niche boutique shop in male leather shoes as well. And I think what's really important is that not only do we have nice success cases to share, but also we did a very intense retail reality study, as we called it, and we have been including more than 2,000 end consumers, so real shoppers, and more than 300 retailers in whole German-speaking regions, so Germany, Austria, and Switzerland, from different sectors, fashion, shoes, beauty, home, and sports, and really ask them what's the percentage, what's the perceivedness of the whole logic within the omnichannel understanding. And what we see is that lots of retailers, lots of brick and mortar stores, lots of owners, they really struggle with the understanding of the concept of omnichannel. There's one nice example, I won't tell the brand, but when I talked to a potential client, they said, omnichannel, we're covered, we're done. That's you don't need to tell me any news here. And then I tried to dig a bit deeper, and he said, yeah, we do have omnichannel, and omnichannel for us means that if we get an order, we send a fax to the certain store, and this fax will be printed, it will be laid to the cashier, someone picks up the pair of shoes, and as soon as they get together, someone might call the client and tells them it's ready to be picked up. So there's different understandings of omnichannel out there still, and it's ideally as automated as possible, what we're able to deliver, and it should be less, let's say, less personal driven, because it creates lots of mistakes and errors and miscommunication. So the more automation you have in Click and Reserve and Click and Collect logic, the better you can move forward. We got some surprises in that study as well. So we understood what customers want, and we also saw what retailers think from different perspectives. And we understood that 40% they would be more likely to buy a product if they have been able to examine it, to touch it, to feel it, to wear it in store. But on the other side, only 29% of retailers, they really already offer an omnichannel as a service, as a solution, as an additional way to get into contact with potential buyers. Also, 44% of consumers, they rank return in store in the top 5 of their priority lists of important services. Return in store, easily understood. It's you buy something online, you order it online, you get it home, and then you're not willing to send it back with a package, with a courier, but you get to the next store and you just hand it in to the cashier and say, I ordered online, I want my money back, it's not the right size or something. So the return in store functionality is something that's really important for them because it's so convenient to just drop your package somewhere without having the issue to go to the post and send it back, etc. But then on the other side, 60% of retailers, they don't really understand the difference between multi-channel and omni-channel. And I might even ask you, and there might be 10 people in the room, and we have 11 definitions of the difference between multi-channel and omni-channel. So there's a really distinctive differentiation of services that you should be able to offer. And the next thing, there's around 40%, they place sustainability in third place when choosing a product. As I said before, it might be less the brand, it might be less the price, but it will be very much, especially for younger generations and upcoming financially backed up generations, sustainability. While on the other side of those retailers, 1/3 perceives still green retail as kind of a temporary trend and maybe a buzzword and something like this. So they're not really taking things and demands and a new understanding of economical systems of the world of younger generations seriously, and that definitely will kick back for them because they will lose a certain type of customers, a certain type of target group as well. So make sure that you get, hopefully, your exclusive copy of the Retail Reality Study. It's more than 80 pages. It's fully loaded with German, Austria, and Switzerland backup that you're having, and to really understand and dive deeper into the world of omnichannel. And with all the digital topics, I do thank you for your analog attention and happy to get into some discussions. Thank you very much.
So basically what I wanted to understand was that people do not go out as much as they used to. So we don't willingly, like earlier it could be that if you're doing this omnichannel of reserving online and going and trying it offline, you could just pick it up on your way back from work. It's a normal convenience. But now to do it, to make use of this functionality, people have to specifically step out of their homes. So how realistic is this now with the increasing, with the change that we've witnessed in the whole retail and e-commerce industry in the past 2 years?
Yeah, so I think that the specifics in the understanding of the more digital you need to get as a retailer, that's definitely something that's extremely important for the whole people involved to understand. There was someone from KDW Group this morning who said you need to have C-level attention, you need to make sure that all the people are involved in the whole logic. But also on the other side, not from the inside out, but the outside in perspective, the whole offering of new channels, of new logic is something that is kind of a conquering mode right now to have. And you mentioned Amazon, and we all learned yesterday or the day before that Amazon is almost bankrupt because they now have less income. Of course, they will never be bankrupt, but I think it's really about the individual choice per customer. So it's about the generational thing, it's about a channelized thing to make sure that really everybody picks their own favorite way of grabbing a product. Could be around the corner, could be e-commerce, could be something like Click and Reserve. Really make sure you offer all the strings, because that might be a huge differentiation factor in the future. If you don't offer additional options, then they might just move to the next brand.
And a follow-up question. So I understand that this is a very, very good opportunity for the local retail stores that have local presence. So how does this model compete with the big brands like Inditex Group or H&M Group? Because if they need to have a store, it wouldn't be like in like small streets. It would be in the main parts of the city where the distance is much longer for the people to go and purchase from the store.
Yeah, I think it's a good question to make sure that is your whole product offering somewhere available online. Then they would consider maybe to use the effort, go downtown, use search for a parking spot, etc., and then come to your office. But of course, ideally, we also get an urbanization. That's one of the hyper trends in general. So the more people move into the city, the more they will use let's say smaller electronic vehicles, or they will just walk in, and they really want to make sure the effort they take just to get to the store is worthwhile. And for a certain perspective, if you know already what's your perfect size, and maybe you know your brand, if you always order Nike sneakers in 39, you know it fits. You might have a discussion about the color and the new latest model, but you know the shoe in general fits. So you just use click and collect. You don't need any consulting topics. You just walk there, have a fast lane, like when checking into a flight. You just grab your product or your package because you have bought online, you have ordered online, and then you're ready to go to pick up the next store as well.